And the commission there adjourns for their lunch break at the Bridget Madlanga College in Pretoria. They'll be returning at 2 o'clock. You're hearing testimony there from Commissioner Mkhwanazi, Julius Mkhwanazi of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. Quite a number of things we heard there, but nothing to a logical conclusion just yet on a number of those issues. And I guess as the day goes by that, and as the commissioners will put their questions in, we'll get to some logical conclusions on a number of things. At the tail end of that, they focused on his suspension and what had happened to the 204 files that were under his care at the time of his suspension. We also heard there a great deal of detail regarding Mike van Wyk as they started just now in the last hour or so. Mike van Wyk being one of the directors and shareholders of Medicare 24, a business partner to Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, and the assistance of students that Julius Mkhwanazi had requested from him from Medicare 24. We heard about his operational issues pertaining to the resource challenges that existed within Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, and a number of details around not enough vehicles having been existing in the police department, and that being a basis upon which the donation of vehicles by Vusimuzi Cat Matlala made sense at the time, despite the fact that those vehicles were never quite handed over to the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. A lot more will be unfolding for the rest of the day. Of course, we'll give you a recap of it all here on SABC News as well as on S3. We welcome our S3 viewers to On Point this afternoon. My name is Oliver Dixon. Thank you so much for being with me. Suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi has told the Madlanga Commission that his relationship with businessman Vusimuzi Cat Matlala dates back to 2021. The relationship allegedly evolved into corruption, with Mkhwanazi accused of unlawfully entering the Metro Police into an agreement with Matlala's private security company. The alleged deal reportedly paved the way for irregular benefits, including fitting blue lights on Matlala's vehicles, an issue now central to the inquiry into political interference and abuse of power within the EMPD.
A heading you've termed relations with Vusi Matlala.
Yes.
Thank you.
May I start?
Absolutely, please
Yes.
do.
My relation with Mr. Matlala, it started in 2022. After my team members introduced me to Mr. Mike van Wyk, the director of Medicare 24 in Boksburg. Yes, it was after the first COVID. You see, because in the first COVID, towards the end of the year, with Mike van Wyk, when I was from COVID.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Is it 2022 or 2020? I just need you to be clear.
Okay, no, it's let me say 2021.
Okay.
Yes.
And on that score, you call it first COVID. Did we have more than one?
No, I'm saying after, we had 3.
And we bring you this breaking news story just in. According to police, 2 bodyguards aged 24 and 36 have been arrested outside the Alexandra Magistrates Court after they were found to be carrying 2 semi-automatic AKM rifles and ammunition without valid permits. The bodyguards are believed to have been escorting an accused person that was appearing today in court. A vehicle transporting the bodyguards was also seized after the license disc did not correspond with the registration number plates. More details to follow. Let's take you to this now. Mkhwanazi has also made allegations before the Madlanga Commission claiming that retired Deputy Chief Rivo Spies presented forged evidence during his testimony. Mkhwanazi vowed to offer proof to substantiate his claims. His statement comes in response to Spies' testimony last month, in which the former Deputy Chief accused Mkhwanazi of assisting the EMPD SWAT team in covering up a 2022 murder scene in Brakpan, where a man was allegedly killed by Metro Police officers.
I know that Deputy Director Spies presented a forged plan, and record me, a forged plan that he forged, because I'm trained in terms of developing that plan, you see, and showed us different fonts and what. But I will talk to that when we are there. The plan was developed.
Just so we don't get confused, you said Deputy Director presented a forged plan.
No, Deputy Chief Rove Spitz
Okay.
lied to this commission
I'm with you.
and presented the forged plan.
I'm with you. All I wanted was for you to specify the name.
Yes.
You just gave the title.
Yes,
So
yes.
it is, you say Deputy Chief Spitz.
Commissioner, let me raise this. I, Julius Dr. Mkhwanazi,
Yes.
Deputy Chief of Operation and Specialized Services,
Yes.
say in this commission and in members of public of this country, Deputy Chief of Police, Rove Spitz, presented a forged plan that he forged and presented to this commission. I'm going to present the real operational plan that I gave it to him when I was instructed to give him that plan.
Mkhwanazi has denied any involvement in branding and installation of blue lights on vehicles belonging to businessman and attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Matlala. Mkhwanazi has dismissed the allegations as social media fabrications, which he says triggered an independent police investigative directorate probe into further claims against him, including corruption, misconduct, and even the dumping of human remains.
Commissioners, I didn't install blue light. I didn't brand the cars. The cars, I didn't see them physically. They didn't come to the city of Ekurhuleni. Even Mr. Christian didn't see those vehicles, you see. It was social media, and there was a document with it's a type document, but with a writing hand in terms of registration, and the article say Matlala's wife, what. By that time, I didn't know Matlala's wife and everything, see. But now, I could have an understanding now. Then I stayed, but before, I'm jumping, but before I started to resume, I was called by IPT. It's the day after, you see.
The day after what?
I came back to work, yes. Okay. We want to see you. Who are you? No, I'm from IPT. We must see you. Come to Johannesburg. Well, the first time I went to Johannesburg, in their offices, you see, it's about this blue light thing that you gave permission, you see. Then I said, no, it's fine. I informed my boss that I'm not working, I'm going to IPT. They directed me, I drove with my private car, I parked and I went in. When I went in, it was 7 of them, you see. Sitting, it was Mr. Ku, 2 advocates, senior investigators. Out of that, there were 2 females and 5 males sitting like, you see. I said, oh. He said to me, I must talk to this thing of blue light, but now, said, yes, the allegations. First allegation, it was this one of blue lights. Second allegation, it was a dump kill body. Third allegation, it was me giving members instruction to work outside the city of Ekurhuleni. There was a 4th one. I said, no, it's fine. I can respond to those allegations.
Our senior reporter, Kenny Mapanga, is at the Madlanga Commission following the testimony of Julius Mkhwanazi this afternoon. Kenny, quite a lot of information there, but nothing to any sort of logical conclusion just yet, at least not conclusively so. For the most part, the commissioners had left Julius Mkhwanazi to present testimony uninterrupted and unencumbered, except for the instances of seeking clarity. And they've now started putting questions to him. It seems as though we've got some detail on his relationship, working relationship with Spitz, which seemed fractious at best. Some detail about how he met Vusimuzi Matlala, more importantly, around the vehicles that were donated and installed with blue lights. What were you able to piece together coherently from what had come up from Mkhwanazi's testimony this afternoon?
Indeed. We have seen the Commission take a specific approach towards the implicated persons, which is to include this fair process of allowing them to respond freely to the allegations that they are facing without any interruption before they are then tested with that questioning from the Commission's bench. So we saw earlier this morning, if we take it a bit back, that Commissioner Mkhwanazi, as he now has corrected the Commission, is stating that he has quite an extensive career, rather placed what he says is an extensive career in policing within the local government. I guess this was to, counter this allegation that he was someone that just came from nowhere and quickly rose up through the ranks of the EMPD, allegedly due to this close proximity with Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who is the former Ekurhuleni city manager, who is accused of spearheading, the shield that would have allegedly protected Mkhwanazi in the face of all of these allegations that he was facing. To remind the viewers, he is facing serious allegations regarding 2 memorandas that he entered into, purportedly between the EMPD and Medicare 24, as well as the CAT VIP Protection Services, which is the private security firm of Vusimuzi CAT Matlala, that is the alleged cartel member that is alleged to have had some form of undue influence on the city of Ekurhuleni, specifically with the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, and that was allegedly facilitated by Mkhwanazi. Now, essentially what we're getting from his version is that he is stating concerning this blue light saga, which we have ventilated quite extensively through the evidence in chief brought by more than one EMPD official, whether it's former EMPD official or the spokesperson Tepa or the now suspended EMPD chief Mapiye, about this unlawful act of fitting those vehicles of Vusimuzi CAT Matlala allegedly with blue lights. Now, there has been a social media video by Mama Cat which shows that those vehicles were being ferried with blue lights. However, who is to be credited for such an act still remains in the air, because you now have Mkhwanazi before this commission denying that he ever fitted those cars with blue lights. However, we see in the social media videos that they were able to ferry along, and one wonders that during that period in which those vehicles never actually went to the city of Ekurhuleni, what exactly those vehicles were doing with those blue lights. Because once you have blue lights, it means that you have the status of a law enforcement agency and you don't have to worry about your vehicles being stopped or searched or anything of that nature. So the period upon which those vehicles would have had allegedly those blue lights, allegedly fitted by Mkhwanazi, is yet to be answered before this particular probe, because you're hearing evidence from Mkhwanazi saying that the so-called donation was actually an initiation process, according to him, and was never actually completed at the city of Ekurhuleni. So he's not really providing any further input regarding those particular decisions. And now that we've moved to the evidence relating to the 2 memoranda, he's very forthcoming about introducing the Medicare 24 contract. However, he omits the information, if we could put it that way, about CAT Matlala's VIP Protection Services. So the question that comes from the bench is, why would he not remember something that is so critical to the allegations that he is facing? And he's stating that it's merely just an oversight. But these are just one of the few issues he has to answer to. Remember, it's not only limited to this alleged undue influence by Matlala, but also extends to the dark web of alleged criminality that he ran allegedly in the city of Ekurhuleni. We expect him to continue with his testimony after the lunch adjournment at 2 p.m. It's over to you in studio.
Ken, I just want to pause you there and bring this update on our breaking news story. Moments ago, we brought you the breaking news story on 2 bodyguards having been arrested outside the Alexandra Magistrates Court, where police had found these bodyguards to have automatic rifles, semi-automatic rifles, that are unlicensed, along with ammunition. The vehicle which they were traveling in was also a vehicle that had no correspondence between the license disc of the vehicle as well as the number plates, the registration of the vehicle. They are yet to determine why that is the case. However, the update is this. the vehicle and the bodyguards seem to have been escorting Katie Molefe, who had appeared before the court this morning in the murder case of DJ Somebody. Well, it is unclear whether or not Katie Molefe had known about this, but very importantly, the case has been postponed to February next year. We'll bring you more details as it unfolds. Kenny, just to go back to the question around the vehicles and the rationale behind it. We heard a lot from Julius Mkhwanazi this afternoon that resource constraints within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department seem to have warranted the acceptance of these vehicles, despite the fact that he considered that he never actually saw these vehicles. To what extent did we get details around the resource constraints in the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, and does it hold any relevance, at least from some of the questions of clarity that Advocate Silo had put to him?
Well, the context upon which the vehicles have been discussed is in the context of the unlawful, irregular process that preceded this particular act. And the vantage point of these particular officials that came to testify about this is that they were intimating or alleging an undue influence on the part of this private security firm. Because the context on which private security firms are discussed in this particular instance is that EMPD is stating that if you want to increase resources, there are internal processes to do so. And of course, they're stating that when they brought in these private security firms, what followed was this pattern of alleged gross criminality under the alleged parallel structure of Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi. That is, those acts, those dark web of alleged criminality that extended to various different acts that we've heard about in the Commission, that is kidnapping, extortion, theft, and even murder. In all those instances, we're hearing that it was this specialized unit that reports to Muanazi that allegedly participated in these dark acts with the help of civilians allegedly being these private security firms. So that is the context upon which these private security firms are mentioned. It's not really a resource constraint, but illustrating the unlawful nature of these agreements. Again, in the case of this issue of the cars, I think Colonel Tipper made it very clear that if there were resource constraints within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, specifically in its fleet, those cars would never be replaced with what Mkhwanazi describes as classy vehicles such as BMWs, X5s or Vianos in order for them to conduct their operations. It's just not how they would conduct the operations where they would have these kind of vehicles traveling across the region. So that is the only context we have so far, but I'm sure when the question intensifies, then we'll get more details as to why he believed that he could only deliver or cover that shortfall that he explains it as through this particular security firm and their upper class vehicles. We know he has stated to some extent that he believed that Matlala was using it as a marketing strategy because it didn't come at a cost. But then again, we know once again that the vehicles actually never went to the city of Ekurhuleni, but they were allegedly fitted with blue lights and were operating in the region using those blue lights. So for what purpose did this entire agreement take place? And that is part of the Commission's probe to establish as it continues to focus on the alleged corruption that had engulfed the city of Ekurhuleni.
On the surface of it, there seems to be a contradiction that needs to be cleared up there, because when questioned and probed about his refusal to undergo vetting and biometric assessment, Mkhwanazi had said there that he didn't refuse to do so, he just wanted the right organization to do so, in the instance, the South African Police Service, because when he arrived, it was being done by a private service provider, which seemed to have been a private security company, that he claims to have had close ties with some of those in the Metro Police Department. And so he didn't want to do biometric assessments or biometric verification through them, but rather through the South African Police Service, and that the vetting would have been done by the South African, by the State Security Agency in any instance. That seems to be a little bit of a contradiction based if the rationale about why he accepted the vehicles from Matlala were to follow.
Well, I think what the evidence of revo species was in relation to this is that when they were going through all those police ranks, officers, they had decided in the wake of allegations that all these officials needed to be vetted. And Speece has gone into detail about how this request in the meeting had allegedly angered Mkhwanazi, and he didn't want his unit as well as himself, or he refused allegedly to be vetted. Now, this is a unit that has been placed at the center of these allegations of criminality. We know that even one of those members of that said unit came to the commission to testify about the murder of a businessman in an extortion case gone wrong, and specified in detail how they went about this alleged dark act. So we know that from that vantage point that incident is explained in this manner, but he is stating before the commission that he had no reason to object to the particular vetting, but instead wanted it to be conducted by a proper government agency. I think he stated that if the State Security Agency had come forth and said they wanted to vet their members, they would have vetted them. However, both those versions can't stand, and it's up to the Madlanga Commission to come up with a conclusion as to which one must thrive. But we know that this particular unit at the time allegedly had members that had criminal records and had members that were engaging in extreme dark acts of alleged criminality together with civilians that allegedly form part of private security companies. And we've spoken to some of those alleged victims of the said crimes who confirmed that in this region there particularly is this alleged prevailing problem of particular civilians being targeted allegedly by this unit and the civilians that accompany them in these dark acts. So both of the versions that we have cannot stand, but as I said, these are some of the sentiments that he's sharing in the early uninterrupted stage. He's yet to be tested on it, and I'm sure once that portion begins, I think his testimony will find more meaning, and whatever loopholes have been discovered by the evidence leader will be closed by the end of the day.
Yeah. Kenny Mapanga, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. That's SABC senior reporter Kenny Mapanga coming to us live there from the Matlanga Commission.